Now, initially, he was scheduled to fight Michael Morales at first.
Who?
Rinat Fakhretdinov.
Interesting.
That would have been a crazy...
Interesting.
But I'm going to say this, though. So let's take a look at these prelims. The first of which is going to be Sergey Morozov versus Journey Newson. Sergey is 18-5, standing 5'6", and has a 67-inch reach. Journey, on the other hand, is 10-3, standing 5'5", and has a 67.5-inch reach.
You got Journey Newson. He's very calculated, very powerful, but he could be tentative. And then you got Sergey, who makes a lot of mistakes in his fights. And he could be winning a fight, but then lose. Or he could be losing and then just win. So you got aggression versus somebody who's very calculated.
Yeah, but I will say, even after watching a few UFC fights from Journey, I'm not impressed.
I say the same thing. I've never really been a Journey fan, but when I went back and looked at a lot of his fights, even his last fight against Fernando, to be honest, I watched it twice. The first time I saw it, I wasn't impressed. But then when I saw it the second time, I started seeing small things he was doing. He was just doing certain things, kicks from different angles. He was moving around well. He wasn't getting hit a lot. So he was just doing a little bit more than Fernando. That was a technical display that he showed. It wasn't the most exciting, but at the same time, if you appreciate like good striking techniques, then he's somebody you can watch fight.
But stylistically, I'm going to say he in trouble for this fight against Sergey. Because I'm looking at Journey's UFC record, and that Randy Costa knockout loss is standing out to me. Because you know that Randy is only good for one round. You actually let him hit his final move on you. But then, like you said, Sergey is one of those guys who could be winning, and then he could just get dropped out of nowhere. Or he could just get hurt, and it could completely shift the momentum of the fight. And then on the other hand, he could be losing, and then he could have a miraculous comeback. So
I'm glad you said about the Journey thing, because when he fought against Domingo Pilarte, yeah, he finished Domingo in 38 seconds. But Domingo was throwing the head kicks over and over again. And we saw that, like, he got finished by Randy with a head kick. I think that's something that he's a little bit susceptible to. Obviously, Randy Costa finished him with a head kick. And Domingo, well, he didn't finish him with a head kick, but he was throwing the head kick a whole lot.
Why was this overturned?
Marijuana.
It only lasts 38 seconds, though.
Journey finished him with a right hand, but he fell for marijuana after the fight, which I think is totally BS. But
I'm going to just say, man, the level of competition that Sergey has faced so far, Umar, Douglas Silva, De Andrade, even Holly and Paiva, all these guys rank higher than Journey. I know that Sergey is one of those people who can find a way to lose. I'm aware of that. But I'm going to have to go with Sergey by TKO in the second or third round, because I'm looking at his 18 wins, 8 of them are by KO, 3 are by submission, 7 are by decision. Journey has 3 losses, 2 of them are by knockout. I got to go with Sergey here. The wrestling, the pressure. I know he can get caught with like goofy stuff out of nowhere, but I'm going to have to go with him just because he's been in there with some of the tougher guys in the division. And
he got some underrated wrestling too. Because when he fought against Umar, he was popping back up. He'd get taken down. He'd pop back up. He made mistakes there. I think that was a winnable fight.
But if not even winnable, it was a survivable fight to where
there's only one thing I got to say about this, because how was Umar beating him with the kicks? Umar was just on the outside.
You can't look at Umar and say that, because you got to realize Sergey had to be worried about the kicks, but looking for takedowns. From Umar, he don't have to worry about.
Yeah, but he was stuffing it. I'm saying he was stuffing the takedowns. I'm not saying like he was gonna beat Umar. I know Umar is probably gonna be champion when it's all said and done. But I'm saying he was stuffing the takedown, but then he was getting beat with the striking too. And that's what I was gonna say. Like, the fight was almost close until he was getting beat on the outside from the kicks. And that's what I was saying. Sergey don't really resemble the type of guys who beat Journey. The kickers who gonna stay on the outside and frustrate Journey and throw the head kicks and stuff. Sergey don't really resemble that. And also, Journey, he can throw kicks himself. I can see Journey staying on the outside and kicking and frustrating Sergey.
Sergey will get that fight to the ground and work his way to a TKO or a submission.
No. My prediction is Journey maybe winning a 3-round decision.
I got to go with Sergey, man. He been in there with top 10 guys, top 15. And if you take away really the Umar loss, because it ain't like Journey can beat him either. It ain't like Journey can beat Douglas De Silva, De Andrade either.
Yeah, but you hurting Douglas multiple times, and then he came back and beat him, man. It was.
I think that was more so what he was going through personally than anything. To move on to the next fight. Okay, next we have David Dvorak versus Manel Kape. And let me go look at the stats here. Let me go get the stats. Okay, 2 flyweights. David's record is 20-4, standing 5'5", with a reach of 68.5 inches. Then we get Manel Kape, 17-6, standing 5'5", with a reach of 68 inches. And man,
they got a common opponent, Mathews Nikolai, and I'm gonna be honest. This was the fight where, in the last prediction with Mathews Nikolai, that's why I said, like, even if he beats Matt Snell, I don't think he's gonna win that many fights after that, especially in the top 10. Because when Mathews Nikolai fought against Manel Kape, I think Manel won, but they robbed him and they gave it to Nikolai.
Yeah.
Which I think Manel could do a little bit more in his fights. Sometimes he could just
sit back and hunt for a knockout.
Yeah, or just he plays his counter game where he sits back and he tries to catch his opponent coming in. And he can do that. It works most of the time. But against somebody like Nikolai don't make too many mistakes. You're not going to catch Nikolai coming in. They have a common opponent. When David Dvorak, when he fought against Mathews Nikolai, the fight was close, but he got put on the ground. He got put on his butt, man, by Mathews.
Yeah, I think Manel won that fight too. Because, I mean, especially we just looked at that fight because Mathews had a fight, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So we had to watch that fight just to get ready for Mathews. And I remember looking at that fight and thinking, how did Nikolai win this? As the fight went on, I'm thinking he was going to drop him or something, take him down, take his back. I'm thinking something dramatic was going to happen. But the way the fight was playing out, it just seemed like Manel did enough.
But David Dvorak, he has one way of winning. Get
the fight to the ground.
Get the fight to the ground and can do whatever he wants to once he get the fight on the ground. On the feet, he's good enough to not get caught with anything crazy or get hurt. And if he do get hurt, he has one hell of a chin because he's been hurt in a couple of his fights. And obviously, he hasn't been knocked out in the UFC. But at the same time, on the feet, I don't think he has a lot to offer. He has a good jab, but I don't see nothing else.
And I wouldn't play around with Manel Kape on the feet. If that's the case, I'd be trying to get that fight to the ground. His bread and butter is get the fight to the ground and try to get a submission. But you look at his record, he got 20 wins, 8 by KO, 8 by submission. But a lot of those TKOs came on the ground too.
Yeah.
So it ain't like it was just straight knocking people out in one punch. But he do got a good little right hand on him, a good little straight right hand. Yeah. But I don't think Manel's going to be standing around to let him land that punch on him. But then also Manel's coming off of a TKO win over Zalgas. Zalgas is a tough guy to put away. He's a beatable guy. He's tough, but to put him away like that is...
Yeah. And the last thing I'm going to say about Manel, he fights with his hands down. I don't think David is going to capitalize on that because he's not that type of striker. But moving forward after this fight, he's definitely going to have to start putting his hands up against some of these other guys, man.
Yeah, because he should win here. And
decision.
At least a decision.
Yeah.
At least a decision. I wouldn't be surprised about a TKO. But I'm going to say this, man. David Dvorak, man. If Manel plays his game, like if he plays around too much, which we've seen him do that, and it's cost him a few fights. If he plays around and this fight get taken to the ground, it's very dangerous.
I don't think David has no chance, if I'm just be honest with you. But
but I'm saying he don't have a chance as far as on paper. But I'm saying with the way Manel fights sometimes with the hands down and the showmanship and all that stuff, man. Hey, Ode Osborne.
Oh yeah.
Goofed off. The only way he was gonna lose that fight is if he goofed off, and of course that's the first thing he did.
Against Odu,
Tyson now. These type of fighters, they do the same thing, man.
Yeah.
They should win on paper because of the athleticism and keeping the fight standing up and everything. Yeah. And they go in there and they make these decisions.
I think Manel is a more consistent version of Ode.
Yeah. But. Okay, in the next fight we have Bryan Pooh Bear Battle versus Rinat Gladiator Fakhretdinov. And this is a tough fight to take on short notice, man. Hey, Fakhretdinov is like another version of Kakhramonov. He's just one of these guys from across the pond who they can knock you out, they can submit you. And it's a dangerous fight. Now, initially, he was scheduled to fight Michael Morales at first.
Who?
Rinat Fakhretdinov.
Interesting.
That would have been a crazy...
Interesting.
But I'm going to say this, though. Rinat, he has a lot of power.
Yeah, but his striking ain't the best.
I know, but his striking ain't the best. But it's like his punches are a little slow. But if they land...
They're really slow, but that's not the issue I have. The issue I have is the fact that he's winding up and he's throwing these looping punches.
Yeah.
And right hand, left hand, haymaker.
And you can see it coming a mile away.
And then a lot of times he don't land it. I'm going to be honest. A lot of times he misses. But then what he does to get him against the cage, takedown. So
okay, he's strong. Now he's gonna be fighting Bryan Battle here, who I know Bryan coming off a knockout win against Takashi Sato, but Bryan really need to get this fight to the ground and try to be in a dominant position and go for a submission.
That's interesting. Go to the ground with Rinat.
I'm saying on his terms. Now I ain't saying be on your back. What he gonna do on the feet?
Do what Bryan always does. He does a little bit more than his opponent.
You gotta realize this is a short notice fight. It ain't like he had a whole training camp to watch all of his tape and be prepared for everything. You got to realize Bryan took this fight last week, and this is a fight week. It ain't like he got a whole bunch of time to just sit back and study all his tendencies and everything. He's just showing up to fight. Ooh, this is a tough one, man, to take on short notice. But I'm going to say this, though. He was able to beat Cheyanne Gore, and that fight was standing up mostly.
Yeah, Rinat, he's really good at fighting his type of fight. If he wants to stand up with you, he'll stand up with you. If he wants to go to the ground, he'll go to the ground with you.
How do you think the fight is going to play out?
I'm going to go with the more well-rounded MMA fighter in Bryan Battle, because depending on if he can stuff the takedowns. Because I have seen Rinat in fights before where his opponent stuffed the takedowns. He just was able to win off pressure and just do a little bit more than his opponent. But if Bryan can stuff the takedowns and keep the fight standing up, I think he can outwork him. And most opponents he have are better than him. But some kind of way he find a way to get the job done.
Hey, that's true.
My prediction is the more well-rounded, better striking, better complete MMA fighter, Bryan Battle, is going to win by decision. I think he's fought against stellar competition. And then if you look at Rinat's record, the toughest opponent he had was Eric Spicely. And Eric Spicely is 12-8, and he's lost multiple fights in a row and probably should not be fighting to this day. I think fighters like Rinat, I think they can make it real far in the UFC. But whenever they fight against guys in the upper echelon, I think they struggle because of the lack of striking. Yes, we've seen Khabib make it real far off of just wrestling, but I think the welterweight division is tougher than the lightweight division because those guys are bigger and stronger, and they're also just as fast as the guys in the lightweight division. Rinat's striking is not terrible. It's just his punches are loopy, they're not straight, they're not crisp. I don't think he's going to be able to land against Bryan Battle. If he land, he definitely can hurt Bryan. But even still, I think Bryan can recover. I think if they were fighting at middleweight, I think Rinat would have a chance. But Bryan Battle, he's too big and too strong at welterweight division. It's not even fair that he's able to compete there. Yeah, so my prediction is Bryan Battle winning a 3-round decision. Next, we have Maheshate versus Rafa Garcia. Maheshate is 9-1, 6 foot tall. Has reached 71.5. He's currently on the 7-fight win streak. His opponent is Rafa Garcia, 14-3. He's 5'7", and his reach is 68. He's currently on a 1-fight losing streak. Like I said, Maheshate, he's 6 foot tall, so I think his height advantage will stand out to me. Maheshate, because of how he fights, I think he'd be able to use his 1-inch reach advantage. If you look at both of their previous fights, Maheshate, his last fight came against Steve Garcia, and Maheshate was able to catch him coming in with a right straight and knock out Steve Garcia with 1 punch. And that's the thing, Steve Garcia, even though he's wild and he's not the most technical fighter, he's not susceptible to knockouts. He already knocked out one Garcia who's never been knocked out. Let's see if he can knock out another one in Rafa Garcia. But I know Rafa Garcia don't fight the way Steve Garcia does. Rafa, even though he's powerful and strong, he's a wrestler. He's trying to get the fight to the ground. He's trying to outpoint his opponent. He's trying to score points. He's real aggressive. One issue I've always had with Rafa Garcia, that's why I've never picked for him to win the fight, is because of his style and because he's not the fastest guy. Yeah, when Rafa fights opponents, he misses and he misses bad. That's why I have to pick Maheshate in this fight, because Maheshate has a defense. He gets hit, but he doesn't get hit a lot, and he's a defensive fighter. He's always on the move. He's always blocking with his shoulders. That's another thing is with Maheshate, like, he doesn't load up on none of his punches. His punches are straight and down the pipe. Whereas Rafa Garcia, he loads up on all his punches. He doesn't throw jabs. He just throws hooks. And then if all fails, he looks for takedowns. But fights where Rafa can't get the takedown, he loses against Nasrat and against Chris Gruzenmichael and Jakar Close. Those opponents who he couldn't take down and hold down. And another thing is with Rafa Garcia, if you look at some of the guys he beat, yes, Natan Levy is on a tear right now, but Natan is the only guy who he beat who has a big name. Jesse Ronson, he does not have one win in the UFC. Yeah, Jesse first fight was a draw. With his last two, he lost. So it's kind of hard to measure and gauge how good Rafa Garcia is because he hasn't beaten a tough opponent. He hasn't beaten a tough fighter in the UFC yet. But my prediction for this fight is I'm going to have to go with the calculated Maheshate. I think his punches are going to be straighter. I think he's going to be more calculated. I think he's going to make Rafa Garcia miss. And I think he's going to stuff takedowns. So I'm going to go with Maheshate. I won't be surprised if he get the knockout against Rafa Garcia. That's my prediction. I'm going to go with Maheshate by second round knockout. Next, we got the two Saids. We got Said Nurmagomedov versus Saidyokub Kakhramonov. Okay, first Said Nurmagomedov. He's 16-2, 30 years old, 5'8", his reach is 70. His opponent Saidyokub, he's 10-2, he's 27, he's 5'8", and his reach is 69. The first thing that stands out is, if you look at the average fight time, Said Nurmagomedov, his average fight time is 8 minutes and 11 seconds. Compared to Saidyokub, his average fight time is 14 minutes and 50 seconds, which means that Said Nurmagomedov, he's more of a finisher. So he's trying to get his opponent out of there. Both of their striking is good. It's just Said Nurmagomedov, he land more significant strikes, almost double than Saidyokub, even though he absorbed more too, but he gives out more. Wrestling, this is very interesting because Saidyokub, he averaged 6 takedowns per fight. And I think the reason why it's so high is because in his last fight against Ronnie Lawrence, he got 10 takedowns. And in his first fight against Trevin Jones, he got 2. So that averages to 6. But he's not really known for his wrestling like that. That was because he fought against Ronnie Lawrence. Yeah, Saidyokub, man, he's very underrated. He's quietly on a 4-fight win streak. Man, he's known for fighting Umar Nurmagomedov in 2018. Umar was just bigger and stronger and a better grappler than he was. But on the feet, it looked like Saidyokub actually had a lot of results. At one point, it looked like he hurt Umar, but Umar was able to take him down and just win a Umar type of fight. So when he fought Umar and ended up going 3 rounds with Umar, they kind of put him on the map because it showed that he can go 3 rounds with tougher competition. But Said doesn't fight like Umar. Well, he kind of does actually without the wrestling, but what Said is trying to do is, like, he throws kicks from different angles. He's very flashy. You never know what to expect from him. It could be a flying knee, it could be a spinning back fist, it could be a spinning kick, and also he also has submissions too. So he has a couple of opponents like Cody Stamann, who, even though he hurt Cody on the feet, but Cody went in for a takedown and got guillotined. So you have to also be worried about Said Nurmagomedov submissions. But one thing that stands out with Saidyokub is when he fought against Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones had a lot of success when it came to the wrestling. And I think that's the way to beat Saidyokub is with the wrestling. But the same thing with Said Nurmagomedov. His last fight against Douglas Silva was real close. The success Douglas had was with the wrestling. His only loss in the UFC against Cheyanne Barcelos. Cheyanne actually won because of the wrestling. So they're both a little susceptible to the wrestling. So in my opinion, I think this one is going to come down to the striking, and I think Said Nurmagomedov has the better striking and he's more dangerous. I actually think that Said Nurmagomedov can get the finish against Saidyokub. Because just Saidyokub, he's comfortable fighting his type of fight, his type of pace. He like to be in control. I think the grappling might cancel out, and I think Said Nurmagomedov can catch him and hurt him and get the finish. I am a little bit worried about Said Nurmagomedov takedown defense. Yeah, his takedown defense is only 70%. That's my prediction. My prediction is Said Nurmagomedov winning by second round TKO. Unfortunately, the Julian Marquez and the Duran Win fight got canceled. So the next fight we have is Jake Mathews versus Matt Semelsberger. Jake is 18-5. He's 28 years old. He's 5'11", and his reach is 72. His opponent, Matt Semelsberger, he's 10-4. He's 6'1", and his reach is 75. Yeah, so Matthew Semelsberger, he have a 2-inch reach advantage, and he also have a 2-inch height advantage, which don't really matter because Matthew Semelsberger, he likes to fight on the inside, and he likes to get down and dirty and brawl, which I wouldn't really say brawl. He's more of a technical brawler. He doesn't put himself in harm's way, but he's definitely trying to go toe-to-toe and blow for blow. So one thing that stands out is Matthew Semelsberger, he absorbs 5.17 significant strikes per minute. So he absorbed more strikes than he lands. He only lands 4.99 significant strikes per minute. Both of their takedown defense is average. This is where I think Jake has a significant advantage, and that's with the wrestling. He averaged 1.85 takedowns per fight. Yeah, Matthew Semelsberger, he's known for his fast knockouts. He has multiple knockouts that are in less than 1 minute. When he fought Martin Sano, he won in 15 seconds. When he fought against Jason Witt, He won in 16 seconds. The Jason Witt fight has aged bad because Jason's been knocked out so many times. I think he's been knocked out like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, so he has a bunch of knockout losses, Jason Witt. Yeah, Mathews is very dangerous early on. The people who beat Mathews Semelsberger, they were able to move around and avoid his shots because Mathews can be a little bit flat-footed and plodding and predictable. He doesn't really move side to side too. I notice he moves back, he moves forward, but he doesn't really move to the side. And he's not the best at cutting his opponent off. He doesn't really circle the cage like he's supposed to. That's how he's able to lose to somebody like Alex Morozov, who, in my opinion, is not as talented as he is. That's the type of fight that Jake Mathews fight. Jake, he's athletic on his feet. He's very agile, mobile. If you think about it, a lot of his losses comes to grapplers. Sean Brady, wrestler. Anthony Martin, jiu-jitsu guy. Andrew Holbrook, we know he's good at, and Kevin Lee grappler. Even James Vick grappler. I don't think Mathews Semelsberger has the style to beat Jake. And plus, Jake has been knocking people out as of late. One thing that surprised me was when he fought against Li Jingliang, he was able to knock Jingliang down multiple times. So Jake has underrated knockout power. But my prediction for this fight is, I'm a big Matt Semelsberger fan, but I don't think he has the style to beat Jake Mathews. His losses come against big, strong wrestlers or people who are just super dangerous on the ground. And that's not Mathews' style. Mathews can submit something, but he's not a grappler by any means. I can see Jake frustrating Mathews Semelsberger and winning a decision, and that's my prediction. Jake Mathews by 3-round decision. The last fight we have on the prelims are Cheyanne Vlismas versus Cory McKenna. Cheyanne, she's 7-2, 5'3", her reach is 63. Her opponent, Cory McKenna, she's 7-2. She's 5'3", and her reach is 58.5. They're both 5'3". The one thing that stands out is Cheyanne's 5-inch reach advantage. And she's definitely going to try to use that against Cory. And also, Cheyanne, she lands 5.83 strikes per minute and only absorbed 2.93. And Cory lands 3.47. and only absorbs 3.53, so she absorbs more punches than she lands, which doesn't really matter because she's a wrestler and she's trying to get the fight to the ground. I think this is a grappler versus striker match. Cory has a significant advantage with the wrestling, Cheyanne significant advantage with the hands. Yeah, Cheyanne, she has great movement, she has real fast hands, and she has a great volume. She throws beautiful combinations. And also, Cheyanne, she has a sneaky left head kick. She showed that against Gloria De Paula. She took Gloria down, and as soon as Gloria stood back up, she had a head kick waiting for Gloria. And she was able to knock out and then land ground and pound and get the finish. One thing I like about Cheyanne is the fact that she likes to attack first. She doesn't wait on her opponent and then respond and react to her opponent. She likes to be the one initiating the striking. And we see a lot of fighters frustrate us because they're constantly waiting and waiting and waiting. Another thing is she keeps her hands up nice and high. So Cheyanne is about business. She's not showboating. She's trying to get the job done. Her opponent, Cory McKenna, she's known for her last fight against Miranda Granger. She won by Von Fluchoke. She's the first female fighter in the UFC to win by Von Fluchoke. So she was in history books because of that. But she got, in my opinion, exposed against Elisa Reed. Elisa was able to stuff takedowns and make it a dogfight. And I don't think Cory likes that type of fight. Cory likes to be the one in control. She likes to be the bully. She likes to be the hammer. She doesn't really like to be the nail. Elisa Reed makes a lot of these female fighters look bad, especially with the striking. But still, she wasn't really rocking Cory, but she was hurting her with punches. I think Cheyanne's 73% takedown defense is enough to keep the fight on the feet and fight her type of fight. And when she's fighting her type of fight, I think it's enough to frustrate Cory McKenna and get the W. So that's my prediction. My prediction is for Cheyanne Vlismas to win by 3-round decision.